Here we go again. More rounds of strong and severe thunderstorms on the move. I'm tracking them for you coming up.
What was supposed to be a relaxing day of swimming turned deadly for a Lexington man.
Construction continues on a $15 million renovation at Rupp Arena.
WKYT News starts now with First Alert Weather.
Good evening. Rounds of strong storms are rumbling across the bluegrass tonight, bringing strong winds and maybe some heavy rain as well.
We have declared today a first alert severe weather day. Let's begin now with WKYT Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey, who is tracking some storms.
Yeah, you got pockets of stronger storms showing up out there, guys. That's been the trend all afternoon, and it's a local wind damage threat over the next 2 to 3 hours into much of the area. Certainly nothing that I'm expecting in terms of widespread severe weather by any stretch of the imagination. Let's hit some of those hot spots for some stronger storms. Right now, rumbling out of West Liberty into Sandy Hook into Elliott County, across southeastern Kentucky from Hazard down into the Harlan area. Watch out for some local wind damage there. General light to moderate rain, southern Kentucky, Lexington, bluegrass, at least the metro, is okay until we get into northern parts of Scott County. This thunderstorm is ramping up here just a little bit from Peaks Mill into southern parts of Owen County. That'll head just to the north of Stamping Ground and may clip Sadieville. It's working its way toward the east and northeast. It's been raining for a while across Franklin County, hasn't it? Folks in the capital city dealing with a lot of thunder and lightning over the past little bit, and some additional thunderstorms are going up to the west and southwest of Louisville, though the storms here over the last couple of frames have weakened just a little bit. Still, though, the threat for some stronger storms as we go through the evening will be with us. We got a cold front that is off to our west and northwest, and until that gets in here and out of here at some point tomorrow, the threat, at least for some scattered storms, will continue. Guys, this is not a widespread severe weather outbreak. It's more of some local wind damage that we'll track when I come back in a few.
Chris, we'll see you then. Thank you. Some friends were out swimming in the Kentucky River when tragedy struck. The Garrett County coroner tells us that a Lexington man was in the section of river near Paint Lick Creek when he went under.
His friends were able to get him out of the water, but they were not able to save his life. WKYT's Phil Pendleton has more on what happened in our top story at 5:30.
Paint Lick Creek empties into the Kentucky River at the end of Buckeye Road. It's here where 4 friends were enjoying the water when the coroner says something caused Charles Martin to go under.
Said he needed help. They said don't kid about that, and he said he needed help, and then he went under.
They were able to pull him out of the water, a part of the river that locals say can have some treacherous currents.
If the current's flowing here, it'll hold the backwaters up. And when you're young, you know, you see that and you think you can swim over and back. And unless you're in excellent shape, you have a leg cramp, you'll go down.
There is very little, if any, cell phone service where this incident happened, so those with Martin had to put him in their car. They drove here several miles away where they met the ambulance. That's where the 42-year-old from Lexington was pronounced dead.
But, you know, I'm sorry for the family and I'm sorry for their loss.
Yet Billy Moore of Buckeye says he knows of at least 5 people that have drowned here in the last 10 years. He says this area is common for people to come, drink, and swim. The coroner suspects alcohol was a factor.
We found alcohol in the vehicle at the scene once we got back down there.
If you get the alcohol and water don't mix.
The coroner says an autopsy confirmed drowning was the cause of death. State police are investigating, but they believe it was just an accident. In Garrett County, Phil Pendleton, WKYT.
And the coroner says toxicology results will not be known for at least a few more weeks.
A woman is facing a murder charge after police say she shot and killed her husband. Our county-by-county coverage at 5:30 begins in Harlan County. Police say 51-year-old Ruby Webb shot her husband Charles Webb at their home on Pope Hill Road around 1 this morning. Charles was taken to Harlan ARH Hospital and then to Holston Valley Medical Center where he died. Police say they have arrested Ruby Webb twice in the last 2 years for assault. And in Jessamine County, a man charged in connection to a string of arsons has been indicted by a grand jury. John Roth was charged in May with receiving stolen property. Police say he tried to pawn jewelry stolen from a Madison County home that was broken into and set on fire. 6 homes in Fayette, Scott, Madison, and Jessamine and Garrett counties were broken into and set on fire earlier this year. According to the Jessamine Journal, Roth has been indicted on several charges, including 2 counts of arson. He's scheduled for a status hearing August 12th.
Police are investigating after reports of tires being slashed in a Lexington neighborhood. Someone slashed tires on several cars this morning on Niles Drive near Armstrong Mill and Appian Way. 8 cars in total, including 1 work vehicle, were damaged. Threatening words were also written on a telephone pole. A woman also reported someone slashing her tires on Elm Tree Lane this week.
It has been a busy summer at Rupp Arena. The home of the Wildcats is getting a facelift. The overhaul includes a new state-of-the-art scoreboard and some changes to the seating areas. WKYT's Jim Caldwell has more on the Rupp renovations.
Other than a passing car here on the outside of Rupp Arena, it's been all quiet for much of the summer event season as well. But on the inside, things are a whole lot different.
There's plenty of noise here, just not the sounds of 23,000 screaming fans. Rupp Arena sounds like a construction site because it is a construction site.
We've got a lot of work still to do, but we've got a lot of work done.
The work that Bill Owen is talking about is a major upgrade in technology at Rupp.
This is all part of a $15 million video, audio technology and other upgrades to the seating area.
And of course, Big Bertha is no more and will be replaced by a state-of-the-art system. And what about those red air ducts?
Everybody wondered why are the ducts red, and that was part of the 1976, like shag carpeting in your basement. Everybody had shag carpeting, but getting rid of the red and going with all blue.
Perhaps the best change out of all of those might just be the fact that the air ducts are no longer red, and they are Kentucky blue. At Rupp Arena, I'm WKYT meteorologist Jim Caldwell.
Well, those renovations are part of a planned 2-year overhaul at Rupp Arena.
50 years ago, 2 high school students who played football made history by enrolling at the University of Kentucky. Our good question is, what is UK doing to honor the first black players to suit up for the Wildcat football team? In 1966, this young man, Nate Northington of Louisville's Thomas Jefferson High School, signed on to play for UK. A year later, he would become the first black player to actually play for the Cats and the first black to play in a Southeastern Conference game. It was in 1967. Greg Page, right here, was the first black player to sign with the Cats in 1966, but he died after a practice injury and never played in a game. Both of them, along with Wilbur Hackett and Houston Hogg, will be honored with a statue in front of the UK football practice facility. It'll be unveiled on September 22nd. Long overdue, probably. To submit a good question, send an email to goodquestion@wkyt.com.
Gas prices are down across the country. How drivers are taking advantage, coming up in less than 10 minutes here on WKYT.
I'm Bill Bryant. Donald Trump picks the governor of a Kentucky border state to be his running mate. Mitch McConnell will address the Republican National Convention, and a Frankfort landmark up for auction. The bottom line is ahead.
Scattering of thunderstorms continuing to cause at least a few issues on a local scale. We'll track those and talk about the weekend forecast when I get back in a moment.
Keep up with the latest news on WKYT.com. Join the conversation on Twitter and become a part of the WKYT Facebook family.
A little on the stormy side out there. WKYT First Alert Severe Weather Day continues at least for a little while longer. Overall severe weather threat is not very great. It's some pockets of high winds we'll keep an eye on. What we're looking at on those severe weather cams, Frankfort, it is wet. We've got thunder and lightning. Lexington, we're looking at that storm. London, not a whole lot. You've got a little more light rain coming at us from the west. And the Louisville E-Town area may pick up on some gusty showers and storms here momentarily. Defender Radar Network, pockets of strong thunderstorms that are out there. No active warnings across central or eastern Kentucky. Now stronger thunderstorm northwest of the E-Town area. Look at what's going on into north central Kentucky now. Franklin County into Scott County, parts of Henry and Owen as well, and especially here just to the north of Georgetown and Sadieville, stamping ground. Folks in the Corinth area and southern parts of Owen County, it is a very noisy thunderstorm that is rolling its way to the east-northeast. So Sadieville, western and northwestern parts of Harrison County. You'll get in on that shortly. Lexington, it just looks like it's going to storm. A lot of that action is just off to our west and northwest. Thunderstorms into northeastern Kentucky earlier caused a lot of wind damage, and this little thunderstorm complex is weakening. Likewise here into southeastern Kentucky with some stuff heading out of Perry County into Letcher County. Southern Kentucky, you had a lot of thunderstorm action a little earlier. Now it's some leftover light rains with a distant rumble of thunder. Atmosphere is starting to show signs that it has worked over. Still, a local high wind threat is out there. Local flash flooding is probably the biggest threat we're getting at this evening, and even there, it isn't very great. Again, pockets of some stronger thunderstorms that we're talking about in the short term. How do we roll over the next few days? Let's roll out that 3-day forecast. Storm or two possible tomorrow, especially across the south and the east. Better chances for some showers and storms across the southern parts of the area on Saturday than what we're talking about into the northern parts of the region for your Saturday. You go into Sunday right now, fingers crossed, it is looking like a dry day. It's going to be a little on the toasty side with normal July temperatures. Normal around here, well, we haven't had a whole lot of that lately, have we? It's just been storm after storm. Hour by hour forecast. Said this yesterday about today. Think this is undercooked a little bit with the thunderstorm chances tomorrow. Get into the afternoon and evening, should see at least some scattered stuff that will go up, and any storm that goes up tomorrow and into Saturday can put down some heavy rain. Saturday's rain, look at this, 64 in south. Notice into the afternoon too for areas getting in on some steadier rains. Those temperatures are held way, way down. Hopefully we can just get some clouds to keep those temperatures down as opposed to the rain, but this summer, don't bet against the rain. That's the pattern you're in. You got to sometimes just roll with it. How about Sunday? All right, I'm going to bet against the rain on Sunday. I'll say mainly a dry day with a lot of the action hanging just to our south and southeast. But again, fingers crossed, toes crossed, we can get at least one day out of the weekend that's completely dry. Right now, that appears to be on Sunday. Soak it up, 90-ish on Monday. Some late-day strong thunderstorms will dive in from northwest to southeast as we go into Tuesday and Wednesday, as we see a little front that makes its way into town that may try to keep that heat at bay a little bit for the middle of the week, though I still think by the end of the week that'll surge back in here, guys.
We're watching those storms, but nice to look ahead and know that maybe Sunday will be decent for us.
And for parts of the area on Saturday,
Sure.
too. I say that with the right to,
Take it back.
reserve the right to
Yeah.
totally change that forecast tomorrow.
We know how that goes. Thanks, Chris.
All right.
There's a collision in Old Richmond and McCall's Mill. That's an injury crash, and still working one at Waller and Elizabeth. Cleared the issue that we're dealing with on the circle, so both lanes are open down the outer loop of New Circle approaching Versailles Road. Drive times this afternoon to Nicholasville still looks okay, 12 to 15 minutes. Paris, via Paris Pike, normal traffic flow. Now back to the studio.
Gas prices are always a topic of conversation, especially in the summer months when many families do most of their traveling.
Luckily, prices at the pump haven't been as painful as in previous years. Our Andrea Walker has reaction from drivers in this story that's new at 5:30.
For many of us, the price of gas is always on our minds.
As much as we can save on gas, the better.
For Anastasia Woodbury, that's certainly the case.
Since I just graduated, every time I drive, because I just started making a salary and I'm trying to work my way up, and I don't want to spend that much to get to work,
If you've passed the pumps over the last few days, you've probably noticed the price of gas is going down, which we confirmed today with Daniel Wheeler at AAA.
Actually, national prices have fell for 30 consecutive days, and it's actually the lowest price point for this state since 2004, so it is quite a dramatic drop.
According to the experts at AAA, today the average price of 1 gallon of gas is about $2.22, which is great when you consider the fact that last year at this exact same time it was $2.78. Locally, the drop is even more significant.
Last year for Lexington, we're actually paying 61 cents cheaper than the same date, so it's quite a big difference there.
Of course, summer is a great time for families to travel, and the lower prices at the pumps are allowing them to save for other activities.
Now I know that I can budget more for, when I go, if I'm going to Gatlinburg like I am today, I can have more money to spend there.
But not everyone is jumping behind the wheel just because the prices are down.
I won't be as hesitant to go somewhere because I know it's not going to cost me nearly as much. However, I'm not going to get in the car and drive just because gas is under $2.
Andrea Walker, WKYT.
Decreased oil prices and increased domestic oil production are key factors contributing to the plunging prices. Sources say Donald Trump has chosen his vice presidential nominee.
And Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell will speak at the GOP convention next week. Bill Bryant has details in the bottom line.
Good evening. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump has chosen Indiana Governor Mike Pence to be his running mate. CBS News confirmed the selection of Pence, who was a member of Congress before being elected governor in the Hoosier state. Trump is returning to New York City, where he will make the official announcement at 11 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's just before the filing deadline that Pence would have faced if he had been seeking re-election. The selection comes as more nationwide polls now show the race for president is tight. A CBS News poll out today, taken after the FBI decision not to recommend prosecution of Democrat Hillary Clinton over her use of a private email server, shows the race tied dead even at 40% each. Kentucky Senator Mitch McConnell is set to speak at the Republican National Convention Tuesday night. The Senate Majority Leader will appear on the second night of the convention in Cleveland, the same evening that Donald Trump Jr. and Tiffany Trump will be addressing the delegates. Other convention speakers who are now confirmed include Senator Ted Cruz, former football star Tim Tebow, and professional golfer Natalie Gulbis. The first woman to command a space shuttle, Eileen Collins, is also on the list of speakers. The New York Times reports the roster seems to be designed to widen Trump's appeal. The 25-story state office building in Frankfurt is going up for auction. The Capitol Plaza Tower is now listed as surplus property. Bids will be opened up on August 17th. An estimate to renovate the building came at almost $135 million back in 2008. There's also been a recommendation to tear it down. UK political expert Dr. Stephen Voss will join me to talk about the conventions on this weekend's edition of Kentucky Newsmakers. Also on the program, former Lexington Police Chief Anthony Beatty on the tough issues facing law enforcement and communities today. Bill Bryant, WKYT.
Bill, thank you. SEC Media Days coming to an end.
Yeah, it takes 4 days to get through it all down there. The media votes counted up today, and guess what? The Cats getting a little more respect, at least a little more than usual. We'll hear from Mark Stoops and the Ole Miss Rebels when we come back with sports. Mark Stoops and his team getting a little more respect at SEC Media Days. The Cats are picked to finish fourth in the SEC East. We'll get to the poll in a moment. Stoops and his team and the fans have had to deal with a lot of disappointment over the last two seasons, those 5-7 finishes. As he appeared Wednesday at Media Days, Stoops expressed the frustration.
Our fans are starving. In this day and age, you know, when you walk into a program, everybody says, I know it's going to take X amount of years, and when you get there, that seems extremely long. You know, we're disappointed. We had our opportunities. I feel like, you know, we've lost some close games, but there's only been one game since I've been there where we really felt like we definitely outplayed an opponent and lost.
Now, if you think there is one SEC team that just can't wait for the season to start, you would have to think that it's Ole Miss. The NCAA looking into potential violations in the program, which has kind of soured the excitement for football in Oxford. Ole Miss has beaten Alabama 2 straight times and is coming off a win in the Sugar Bowl. But head coach Hugh Freeze admits at first it was tough to drown out the naysayers after the scandal hit.
And then you kind of get to a spot where you're like, look, really, who is important for me to what audience am I really trying to please? And for me, that would be, you know, my God first, and then my family and the University of Mississippi and the players to which I coach. And I really can't spend time worrying about the other narratives that are out there.
Well, you can't really even worry about off the field stuff. You got to worry about on the field things more than ever. We're just worried about the next game, and that's Florida State.
Worry about the football. I mean, I mean, they make sure that we're taking care of our business in the classroom. We're being smart off the field and representing our team well, and we're working hard.
And here's how the media predicted the order of finish in the SEC East. The Wildcats picked fourth. Kentucky did not receive any votes to win the division. Tennessee picked to win the East. Florida second, Georgia third. Vanderbilt, Missouri, and South Carolina all picked behind Kentucky. In the West, Alabama again a solid choice over LSU. Ole Miss third, followed by Texas A&M, Arkansas, Auburn, and Mississippi State. And the overall championship, Alabama picked to successfully defend the title. LSU is next. Tennessee the third choice, followed by Georgia. Phil Mickelson almost set a major championship record today at Troon. We'll have that in the next half hour. Stay with us.